Hi, so the schools are all back now, and that got me thinking about my first days at school. I have a theory that nearly all of us can remember our first day. Um, I remember being at Southfield Road Junior School in Bedford Park in Chiswick, and I remember the name of my first teacher. And I remember I was the kid who didn't seem to settle very well. And one of my early memories is of the head teacher seeing, I'm not sure it was my mum and dad, and I was there and saying, everyone else has settled down, but he's not. And that was a bit sad. But I was at that school all through my infant and junior years, and of course I became part of the furniture and I knew my way around, and I became one of the big kids. And then of course the day came when I went up to senior school, and I went to St Clement Danes Grammar School in Duquesne Road in London W12, and I was one of the small ones there. And I always think it's a little bit like Gulliver's Travels, you know, that he's in the land of Lilliput with the little people, and then suddenly he leaves there and he ends up in the land of the giants, Brobdingnag, and with the people there, and suddenly he's little again. And of course, life, there's always that. We get used to something, we find our way around, we know who's who in the zoo and everything. And then changes happen, and then once again we're the little insecure one. And I think that happens throughout our whole life, that we change, we get used to something, and then change happens and we become the small person again. And that led me thinking of some stories in the Old Testament of the Bible. King Saul, king of Israel, he was described as being head and shoulders over the rest. He was tall and he was impressive. He was a big guy. But then interestingly, in 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 17, the prophet Samuel says to him, although you were once small in your own eyes, did you not become head of the tribes of Israel? And it's interesting, isn't it, that in his own eyes, he was small, he was insignificant. Now, is that humility, which is a good thing, or was it insecurity? Did he not really know who he was? And was that perhaps the root of some of the problems that Saul had in his life, that he just did not know the person that he really was? And I'd put it to you that some of us are a little bit like that. We just don't know how special, how significant we are to God and to others as well. And then, of course, Saul was replaced as king by King David. And King David came to prominence when he killed the giant. So he was a little guy killing the big guy, and he killed the giant Goliath. And before he goes out to battle with Goliath, Saul, who you remember was big, he gives David his armor. He says, why don't you wear this? And David clanks around for a while in this armor and then says, it's just not me. I just can't do this. And it's taking off the armor and then going and getting the stones from the brook by which David defeats Goliath. And David had learnt the secret of being himself, being the person that he was made to be. And by being himself, he was able to bring victory. And I think learning to be ourselves is such an important thing. For quite a few years, I worked for a church and was like a church leader. And it was so easy there to try and follow a mould of what a church leader should be like. And it took me a long time, perhaps I never totally learned the lesson, to realise that I was okay just by being me. And I'll finish with a quote from the New Testament. St. Paul the Apostle, he says this: by the grace of God, I am what I am. And I want to say to you today, by the grace of God, you are what you are. You're a unique individual. Go and express that uniqueness. Whether you feel big at the moment in an environment where you're feeling very secure, or whether you're in a new environment, in a place where you feel quite insecure, be who you are. By the grace of God, I am what I am. Have a good week. Speak soon. Bye.